All right, everybody. Everybody that is there. Hope I'm coming in loud, clear. Very, very first night of. Where am I? There I am. Something's never changed. Thank you guys for joining. So, tonight is the first episode of Stumbling Chat Podcast. And I see everybody there. So, thank you very much, guys. I see there's quite a few people watching, just not chatting, and that's all right too. Hope everybody can hear me just fine here. What I'm hoping is that the earth you're seeing behind me, what this is I will send you guys this link. This is really, really cool. So what this is a live shot video constant from a satellite, and I will send it to you here. You can check it out. This is a live feed. You'll notice, you may not see it because it's kind of behind me, but this is going on right now. It even has my time zone on there, but this is live. What you're seeing behind me is actually live, and of course they put the different text, but that's coming from a satellite live feed. Hi, Wanda, John, Connie, Den. Guys, thank you so much. Again, first episode ever. Been wanting to get this thing done, as you guys know, for so long. And like I said, much, much different than a Friday night. So I got some cool things that I'm going to be sharing. And this is all, yeah, Den, sort of. A little dinner plate, right? What they do is they actually put that in there to show people where things are, right? And it took me a while to find this, but the cool thing is they have different things like this that you can get for free, and you can stream it live, like the galaxy and all different pictures. It's pretty cool. Yeah, check out that link, John. It's really cool. It's live. And this ties in with tonight's theme. I have several videos and stuff like that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. So stumble in, for everybody watching as well. Hey, Kat. Thank you for joining. Stumble in is an opinion-based talk show. Meaning, I base my opinions. You guys base your opinions. And we kind of try to make sense of what is real, what isn't real. It's a judgment-free zone. Because there are some bizarre things out there that strike my interest that people can't explain. And I want to take those things that I have interest in and put it into a talk show. But a lot of it, too, has regular common sense things in there as well. So that's basically what this show is about. And everybody's free to comment as you like. I encourage comments. I encourage your thoughts. I want to get everybody's opinions on each subject to hear what your thoughts are on certain things. I have my opinion and thoughts on what I think some of the things are, especially for tonight. So it's a really cool, fun thing. Unlike Friday nights, this is a little bit different for me because everything is laid out differently. So I hope it goes off without a hitch. So far, I have not had the Friday night curse of any technical issues. Belle, how are you? All right, look at this. All the gang is showing up. And first and foremost, guys, thank you for your support. I hope everybody enjoys it, has fun, and maybe we all learn a little something along the way. Before we get started, probably within the next week or two, hopefully the show survives, but I had a great interview with one of the actual members. He's here in chat, Dennis Shepard. Him and I talked for a lengthy time. And so once I put his information together and I splice and edit everything I need, I'm going to be sharing with you guys his story, his experiences on certain things. And I think you guys will be quite interested in hearing what Dennis has to say. It's all videoed and recorded, but again, I've got to splice and edit everything together. But it's really, really cool. So, Kat and Belle, you guys are just joining, but I put a link in there. I'll put it in there once again. If you're interested, what you're seeing behind me is a live view going on in real time of our planet that we are literally sitting on now. So you can actually go click that link and see literally what's behind me in real time. All right, and it should give you your time zone as well. So tonight, I've always had this intrigue about different sounds, whether they're binary beats, sounds of the ocean, space, whatever it is. Things that just can't be explained. Some have some rational explanations, some don't. But this is where this gets interesting. I was talking to John the other day, and John brought up a good point. So when I research, and you think you find an answer, John actually made a good point. He said, well, always remember that when you think you find an answer, it's never the final answer, because things are always evolving, always changing. So the answer you think it is today may be different tomorrow. Good point. So let's get started. Tonight we're going to start off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you guys just the sound. We're going to get some opinions and see what you guys think the sound is. Then a little discussion, and I will play the video along with the sound to show you guys what it is and kind of get your impression off that. Pretty much. Again, bear with me. Trying to fit into the role here. A little bit different than Denny Cool and gang. It's all black now. Yeah, it does that. It will go black. That's the satellite orbiting the different live views it takes. It's pretty cool. Yes. Nighttime rotation. There you go. John's got it. All right. Let me see here. Is anybody, before I even get started with the first sound, has anybody, and this is for those that are watching as well, have you guys ever heard sounds, maybe night, daytime, whatever, whether it's coming from the sky, maybe the ground, the ocean, or whatever, a sound that maybe you just can't explain? Like it's just an off sound, something you're not accustomed to hearing. Has anybody ever had that experience where you just hear something and you're like, what is that noise? But there's no rational explanation for it. And maybe other people in your neighborhood or even another city heard similar sounds. Well, so you say occasionally, John, like, is it, like, what type of sound is it? A high screech sound? Like, what is a... So Dennis says, yeah. Not recently, though? Okay, so night noises. And Connie, so you usually figure out what the noise is. All right, Belle, well, even being partially deaf in one ear, the reason I asked that is because this first one I'm going to play for you, just listen really close. Again, if you have earbuds in, just crank up your volume. If you have like a subwoofer, even better. In a quiet place, yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's done that, Connie, where you hear this sound and you can't put your finger on it. But I've had that happen to me a few times. And it's like 3, it usually happens between 2 and 3 in the morning. And my dogs will start barking. We just hear a sound and then it stops. This is the first sound that I want to play for you guys. Okay? And then I want to get your impressions on it. All right. Anybody want to take a stab at it? Well, what I did is I put the sun to kind of throw people off. So the image that you may see necessarily doesn't mean it's the sound you're hearing. John, you said it sounds like a volcano, fire burning, says Wanda, a blast with things falling, trees burning, rock slide, change rod bridge going down. Kind of does sound like a rock slide, doesn't it? I will say that it's close, almost similar. Let's do this. This is going to blow your mind. And the way they do this, it'll be explained. All right? Yeah, all of what happens at a volcano. Yeah, there you go. Now, this blew my mind. So check it out.
The magnetic field isn't something we can actually see or hear in itself, but we can see its effects on the Earth's atmosphere in the form of the stunning visual display called the Aurora Borealis or the Aurora Australis. And now we can also hear it. Researchers from the Technical University of Denmark took the magnetic signals, the radio frequencies measured by the European Space Agency's Swarm satellite mission, and converted them into sound. The result is an eerie representation of our planet's rumbling magnetic field and its interaction with a solar storm. The audio clip you're about to experience might sound like the stuff of nightmares, but sit back, relax, and listen to the strange creaking, crackling, and rumbling of our planet's protective shield. This is the sound of the Earth's magnetic field.
So, if that doesn't blow your mind, hey Johnny, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining. We were just playing. It's kind of like guess that sound, but so I never knew that the Earth, as the one that's alive behind me, actually gives off that sound. Yeah, it's that stat I don't know for sure, Den. So I really can't comment on that. But that is interesting, though. There's a lot of debates about that as far as the magnetic field, the atmosphere, all that stuff. That I don't have a lot of research on yet, but I will. Um, but I will tell you this, that what blows my mind is these sounds that we cannot hear, they've actually developed a way to record them. And from my understanding, the way they do that is they take the hertz and they convert it into sound. How they do it, I don't know. It's a very technical procedure in how it's done. And to be perfectly honest with you, I couldn't explain it if I tried. It's recorded, so that ship that you've seen, that satellite, that records in decibels, in hertz. Then what it does, Wanda, is it transfers or it converts those hertz into actual sound patterns. And it's done within thousands and thousands of seconds. I don't know the exact science behind it, but it's amazing to think that all of that noise, that's just the magnetic field. When you hear it without the visual and without the explanation, it does. It sounds like an avalanche. It sounds like a volcano, rocks falling, maybe some glass breaking. But that blew my mind. Because who would have ever thought that a magnetic field could make sounds like that? So John, you said you'd be surprised to hear the magnified sound of two insects confronting each other. You know, angry insects, yeah. Is it now? Now, have you guys heard that? Like, have you heard that? How they magnified that sound of like what John just said? I never thought of that either, John. That's actually interesting. That's insane. So it's, I think, a microbolic. Am I saying that right? A microbolic, some microphone or whatever it is. It blows my mind how they can take that sound, right, from thousands of miles away, and convert it, or that noise, sound waves, hertz, and convert it into an actual sound that we can understand. I use that term, super sensitive microphone. They use transponders that take frequency and convert to sound. Oh, there you go. That's the explanation I was looking for. Do you think that that magnetic sound can actually, without the equipment, do you think that that can actually be heard in some cases by humans? Do you think it's possible? I do. I think it's very possible. I think certain people are super sensitive, and for whatever reason, they are in tuned or lined up with certain things in the universe. I don't know how to explain that. You're a... Oh, you're a ham operator? Good point. Good point. That magnetic field, that force, can actually affect a lot of people. That's a good point. So that was the first one, all right, which I thought was cool. Let me see here. Now, this next one I'm going to play for you guys. Again, same thing. No video, just sound. All right, kind of get your impressions on it. Another interesting fact, which I'm sure all of you may be aware of, do you know that we know more about space and everything else than we do our own oceans? That fascinates me. Really? So they use that magnetic field to fly. See, John's saying that the birds know how to fly to the same place thousands of miles away. And then Den says research in the Philippine experiment about magnetic field use. No kidding. Cows too? Johnny, UFOs. Oh, trust me, Johnny, we're going to tap into that before the end of the show. Very interesting topic. And I've got my opinions on that. But we also have a lot of testimonies behind that. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Yeah, when they fly and they migrate, and isn't that insane how they do that year after year after year, and their offspring does the same thing, never been there before, but they know where to fly. So it's a magnetic... Yes, you guys are filled with knowledge here, man. Use magnetic fields to try to make a naval ship. Wow. Johnny says birds fly along what's called ley lines. No kidding. Fascinating. Wow. All right, all right. We got some knowledgeable members on here. Awesome. Man, did you guys just love like the scientific-y stuff? I do. All right, this next video is really, really cool. And then what I'm going to do after I play this, I'm going to compare it. Once you guys see what it is, I'm going to compare it to something else that, in my opinion, there's just way too many similarities. But let's play the sound first and then get your impressions on it. So here we go. It does. Oh, Kat, I was reading your comment. Your granddad did that? That's awesome. It sounds like the wind there in January. Yeah, it does sound like a tornado. Well, from what I've heard on TV and stuff like that. But any ideas, thoughts to... I'll give you a hint. It's probably nothing that you've seen, right? That's close. Bell, ghost. Well, you haven't seen it, I guess. Definition of ghost is the non-visible. Wind at Santa's house. Johnny, what'd you say? Outer space? Hmm. All right. I found this to be really, really cool. Let's see exactly what this is. That your Uncle Louie? That's Johnny's Uncle Louie, everybody. Johnny's Uncle Louie. Yes. Okay? So here's what's different about the first one and this one. It still shows the planet and everything else. But what I found interesting when I was first researching to find different, videos and everything else, is the proximity may look the same as far as distance, right? Because we're looking at the planet. But here's the amazing thing: is the first one was simply the magnetic field, magnetic belt. And the way I understand it, and I can relate to the first one, is kind of like plates shifting. The magnetic plates. So this one has nothing to do with the actual magnetic field. That's what I found to be truly amazing. Let me see. If you throw something into space, it will move forever unless something else gets in its way. It keeps moving. Skylab, they record the outer space too. If you believe in forever. Yeah, well, that's the question. Well, isn't that intriguing, though? None of us has the ability as humans to go to space, right? But think about it. We are a rock. Billions and billions and billions of stars. And what I always found fascinating, you know how they say space, and you get sky, earth, is that technically we are in space, right? The differences are gravity. And what I find amazing is this technology allows us to hear what we just heard, like a wind tunnel, solar wind, or whatever. But our planet is like we are in space. We just have the separations. We have those layers, right? Before we get out to the deep dark space, obviously. No, Bell, I think that what everybody's saying here, it's actually awesome because I'm reading a lot of your comments and I'm actually learning a lot from you guys as I learn myself. And I'm probably the geekiest person. I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love the technology of things. I love science of it, and especially when something doesn't make sense, I love it even more. Because then it's my opportunity to try to figure out and debunk what it is. Now this explains what it is. They can prove what these sounds are. These next couple of videos, not so much. Okay? You're going to have to think really hard and come up with a conclusion as to what you think they're going to be or what they are. I have an idea, but I'll allow you guys to share your thoughts and opinions. And again, nothing's too far-fetched and crazy of a thought here. Time and space are local earthly phenomena, at least potentially. No, Belle, you're just as smart as everybody else. We can live on, and other planets humans can't live on. Yeah, that's a good question. That we know of yet. Well, some other planets, from what I understand, have certain similarities, right? But to sustain life, and they even found not maybe human life, but living organisms, cells, do exist, which technically is life. So some of the planets do have life, just not as we think of it, which I find fascinating. But there's a reason for that. I didn't create everything, so I don't know. I don't have the answer for it. But I'm sure if we look hard enough, we will find it. All right. Now, the sound I just played for you guys, I want you to listen to this. And then I want you to tell me if you think there are some similarities. Again, nothing too crazy. No answer is going to shock me, because I'm going to give you my answer, in my opinion, and it'll probably shock you guys. But I want you guys to listen to this. Yeah, Kat, we actually have an episode coming up about that. About aliens and UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Anything can be a UFO that's not identified, right? But we have an episode coming up about that. A lot of work's going into that because we have a live interview with one of our members who's actually in the chat room. But anyways, listen to this next sound and tell me if it doesn't sound similar to the video I just played. And if you need me to compare it again, I will do that. But listen to this, very eerie. Tell me what you think. I love my intros, sorry. That's in case somebody grabs them. Try it. Yeah! See, Belle? Don't say that everybody's smarter than you. It is whales. Absolutely. I don't even have to play the video to show you guys. That's a humpback whale. They are singing and or, communicating. Now, I don't know about you guys. My opinion, when you listen to the one of the space, if I cleaned up that video and enhanced the sound, the clicking and everything else. Almost like I literally played them side by side, when I was doing all this. It's very majestic. The whales sound creepier than the space sounds. But when you play the two next to each other, right, and then you enhance, if you clean up the sound from the NASA one, the wailing and the cries and the clickies, to me, they're very similar. Yeah, I just watched this movie with Matthew McConaughey the other night, and I couldn't sleep. It's called Interstellar. I shouldn't watch movies like that. But when I listened to those whales, because at first when I heard it on my system, I cleaned it up a little bit, you can hear, it sounds like whales. And there's many more recordings of the universe and space and everything else like that has a lot of similarities to how animals here on Earth sound. Yes, interstellar, yep. And the whales in the ocean. Now they say that they use the people who record it, National Geographic, whoever does it, that they actually, clean up the sound, and what they do is you can actually listen to it, and it calms and soothes your mind and helps de-stress people, which I believe in sound doing that. But for that, I don't know. Maybe without the high screeching sounds, it sounds creepy. And then when you envision yourself being in the water and listening to that, if you could, yeah, John's got a HAL computer. His HAL 900 or 9000. But am I nuts? Am I the only one thinking that the whale's cries or singing sounds almost identical to the space sounds of the clicking and the singing? So, on the vocal show, I always say that music is, and it's everywhere, and even space produces music. I think that, again, my opinion, I think the whales can hear that sound and are mimicking that sound. And much to John's point earlier about the birds migrating and everything else, I think the whales use the same type of method. Show to save the whales, they use humpbacks. Yeah, we all definitely are made of the same common elements. And Kat, I didn't know that. I will have to look that up. Yeah, but here's the interesting thing, though. When you hear these sounds, and then now we can hear sounds from space, Earth, everything else, and then you compare that to the sounds that we hear from animals or whatever. Example, the sound of the wind that or thought was magnetic wind or whatever it was. When I played the sound of the magnetic field, it sounded like a volcano, rocks falling. You hear that here on Earth. The similarities are just too much alike between what we can hear on Earth and what we can now listen to from the technology in space. I don't know. I think so, Bell, right? I mean, does that sound far-fetched? If you think about it, listen to the sounds I played, and you can compare that to just about every sound we have the ability to hear on Earth. And I think the two are parallel with each other. I really do. We just don't have that ability to hear it on a daily basis, right? I could be wrong. Yeah, so John, you know how like the sound of like the rocks and everything else that that magnetic field was making, the grinding, the shattering, the breaking, right? Kind of sound like an avalanche. We hear that here on Earth from natural formations, eruptions, whatever it is, right? And then you now can hear that through the super sensitive microphones. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of what it was called, but you can hear that now, and you compare the two. They're very similar. You think that's logical? Huh. Sounds like, yeah. Good point. Good point. I like that. Again, guys, first episode here, so I'm trying to remember all of this and at the same time just have fun with it too, right? So those sounds are awesome. And I knew you guys would get the humpbacks, but I wanted to see if you guys could pick up on the parallel between what you heard there and what you just heard now. And let me see, what was that? Voyage Home. I know it was just a movie, but they had to break down all of the beating sounds to finally end with the whales singing. Really, Kat? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Humpbacks of Notre Dame. You know, so Dennis, you're 100% right. Sound and mathematics. That's I've never seen that movie. I will have to check it out. But kind of like Notre Dame. What's his name? Einstein, Tesla. Matter of fact, John and I not too long ago were talking about Tesla and all of these great minds back then. Right? They didn't do it for anything other than just to create, invent, and everything, because their minds just must have been this exclusive catalog of just brain. You know what I mean? It and how they knew and just figured this stuff out. They weren't scholars by any means. At least I don't think most of them weren't. But the capability that they had to just kind of figure this stuff out, it just blows my mind. All right, so this next one. Hope you get your headphones turned up or speakers, whatever it is. This next one is really eerie. All right, and again, it's going to kind of be the same thing. Before I play, I will just tell you that I actually have written statements from researchers, experts, believers, just all different variations of what people think these sounds are. When I first heard it, probably about a year or two ago, I had to keep watching stuff and finding stuff and finding stuff. And I think I have an idea of what I think it is. And I could be wrong. Da Vinci! I just watched, what's his name? Hanks. That was another weird movie. You be careful watching that stuff then. It does something freaky to your brain. Alright, so listen to this. Okay, and then I will do the same thing. I will play a video to show you what it is. This is creepy. I'm gonna warn you. Here we go.
Salam mis la main.
Vite al telefono.
Wow.
That's definitely a Trump. It's like I've seen this on social media. I heard it. Y'all need to shut that door or something. You get a light up or something. Yeah, that's definitely.
I really hope that's not a tornado. I don't think it is.
That's a Trump. I don't care what nobody says. That's definitely a Trump. This y'all get right. And this has been happening all day. If I ain't right with the Most High, I suggest y'all get right with the Most High, because that's a trumpet.
What is that? It's coming from the sky.
Sounds like the drunks used to hang out at 2 a.m. It could be. Bell, you said black hole. It's a bird. It's a planet. I'd say Bell's probably as close to it, I think, in my opinion. Did you guys hear any distinct sound that reminds you of something? The reason I ask that is I want to see, without pointing it out, if it's an obvious sound. Without me pointing it out. Collapsing star black hole. Sounds like Pandora from Avatar. You kept hearing the people in the background talking. Yeah, that was kind of hard to get rid of a little bit because of the footage. Okay, Bell is close. Very, very close. Yep, so that's one of the key things. So you heard people talking. Yes, because that was actual live footage taken from people on their phones and everything else. But Belle is close. She's real close. Yeah, definitely spooky background. And the mind-boggling thing about this is not a supernova, is that the people you can't see it, but they could hear it. So the title of what a lot of these sounds are is they're one of two things. I'll show you. I have an idea of what I think these sounds are. And I'll give you my opinion. And again, I could be wrong. But just take a look. Yeah, they recorded hearing it. Yeah. Well, then, might have an answer for that for you. Hang tight.
If I ain't right with the Most High, I suggest y'all get right with the Most High, because that's a trumpet.
What is that? It's coming from the sky. What is that?
Yo, what is this sound? This is crazy. Sound been going off for like every minute or so. What the hell?
Any thoughts on that? Now my number one thought was, okay, I don't really believe everything that I see on video because I think there's a lot of fake stuff out there. Yeah, Bill, pretty much that was my thought too. And the reason I did those clips, not the edited ones, was because that's actual people allegedly filming from either their windows, the streets, or what have you, right? And there was actually one as well that had some tree climbers, loggers, and they heard it in the forest. Okay, so it sounds like everything you guys are saying. Now, what they call those sounds are sky trumpets. Now, to Dennis's point, a lot of people do believe that those are allegedly the trumpets. Problem with that theory, though, is that it's not literal. Revelation brings out about the trumpets being a figurative thing. It's not a literal thing. It's the collectiveness of God's people about his kingdom. So that's not a literal term. It's some people can take it like that, I guess. So that's one. The other is the human explanation. And they say that many of the sky trumpets on the internet, maybe most of them, what I said in the beginning, are hoaxes. Yeah, so my thought on the hoax thing is I think that there's a certain percentage, maybe larger than fewer, that probably are hoaxes. And it's very hard to discern what is real and what's not, because I forget the term of it. You guys probably know, you're a very smart bunch there. When you hear something and see something, you try to match, like that muscle memory tries to match it up to make sense of whatever it is you're seeing or hearing. So you put the most credible thing together in your mind, and then you create that belief. It may not be what it is, but you create that belief, and then it becomes a reality in your mind, right? So that's one of them. But for every one of them to be a hoax, I don't know. Yeah, you're right, Connie. See, that's the thing. Jets, so the sonic sound barrier. The problem with that, though, is when jets break the sound barrier and they create that sonic boom, it doesn't last. It can travel for several miles, but then the sound dissipates. Now, everything I played in the beginning, the magnetic fields, solar system, the universe, all of those sounds combined. There's several theories. What if, and I'm reading, what if those sounds somehow were able to magnify and have a delayed effect? In other words, the light that we see from the stars, right? It's not real time. Just like when an explosion happens, it already happened like thousands of years ago, according to what scientists say. So the light that we're looking at is actually delayed. Well, according to some researchers, they claim that this sound is delayed sound. A little spider walking on my cord here. Space shuttle sonic booms we heard up on entry. It'll even get harder to design fakes with. Yeah, I agree. Well, see, that's what the whole speculation is, right? Is it natural? Is it something that? So you got to figure the ground itself, like underneath us, the tunnels, the volcanic eruptions, the tectonic plates, all of those things make noises that we can't hear. Aliens? I don't know, Johnny. I don't have any proof of it yet. Yeah. Here's my theory. I think a lot of what you guys are saying has a lot of truth to it. The problem I have with what a lot of these people do is they see and hear something and they instantly jump to it's true. They kind of follow the crowd, right? So they conform to what everybody else is saying rather than thinking as an independent and rationalizing and trying to make common sense out of it. My common sense thinking is that it's none of the above. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or nothing like that. I don't follow that stuff unless there's more evidence and logic that leads to something. Yeah, they do many, many things. Absolutely. I look at everything and I kind of break it down. If it doesn't make sense, there's a reason it doesn't make sense. Because there's still something out there that hasn't been defined. It doesn't mean it's not real, it just means we haven't been able to explain it. Up until several years ago, that we know of, we were never able to hear the sounds that we just heard. So why is this going on all of a sudden? Allegedly. And no, nobody really does independent researches because it's too easy to not think. It's too easy to get on the computer, look at the social media, and you read, hear, see something, regardless of what it is. No matter what the topic is, people fall into that conformity line, right? And they conform. Matter of fact, John and I did a thing about this, about attitude, about conforming, and not being an independent, free will thinking person. And I think that this is what happens. When I was reading and doing a lot of research, even back in the 30s, even back in the 20s, governments have been experimenting with supersonic sounds, ultrasonic sounds, sonic weapons. Is it true? I don't know. The only thing that I think, one or two things make sense to me, is that these are experiments, number one. I seen Project Blue Book. Kind of weird. I haven't wrapped my head around it, Kat, though. It's kind of weird. I haven't made sense of it yet. But based... Alright, so let's go with that. A lot of what we see and hear is not what we actually see and hear, if that makes sense. We are only told, or we can only find out what we're told. Whether it's on the media, TV, whatever it is, right? So you're only informed as far as the knowledge allows you to be informed. Meaning, whatever they put out there, it almost has like a twist to it. Like it's not the real story. It's not the real fact to it. There's something different behind it. And in my opinion about all these sounds, the last one in particular, I don't think it's anything other than something that is basic, that can be absolutely explained, but I don't think it is. I think it's just kind of being pushed aside, and I don't think it's as prominent as all of these videos out there. Because I think what you can do is any one of us can take that sound, go outside, and mimic it. And then, of course, come back on your computer and say, oh my God, I was outside and look what I heard. I think you do. I think that you have to Yeah, I think you have to question everything. I think conformity is never healthy unless it's a good thing. I think that when you conform just to either A, fit in, or just to satisfy because you're too lazy to actually go out of the box a little bit and do that extra work, I think when you conform just because, and again, my opinion, this is an opinion-based show, I think that that doesn't allow you really to get to facts to find out what the truth is. Well, that's another thing, Connie. You look at all of the money and everything else that goes to these places, right? And I don't know enough about that topic to even have a discussion, but I know a little. But that's another point. So these sounds that we're hearing, or these things that we're seeing in the sky, or whatever it is, I do know this. Was it 1935, I think? 1933, 1935. Germany had a unmanned spacecraft. Looked very similar to a UFO or saucer. And it was a spy probe or a drone back then. Talking in the 30s. So you mean to tell me that today we haven't upped our technology? Again, I can't prove it. I can only speculate it. But I can also go by common sense. Common sense tells me the trumpet sounds, the roars, and if you look it up, there's a ton of videos. There's some, like the bang, you could hear the banging, all that stuff going on. But the interesting thing I noticed, the more prominent ones, the telling sign for me was the majority of them that I think could potentially have some legitimacy to them. When you look at the sky, it's dark. It looks like there's storms brewing, almost every single one of those. So it's something to do with the atmosphere. And that's what my research leads me to think, that it's some sort of ultrasonic, supersonic experiment. I could be wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. As a matter of fact, we have an episode coming up, and it's all about scams. I've seen it happen too many times. It almost happened to my mother-in-law a couple times. You got to be very, very careful about scams. You know, whether it's your bank, your insurance, whatever it is. There's a lot of that crap going on there. Yeah. See, here's the thing. Nobody really knows, and I think I can speak for a wide variety of people, nobody really knows what they tell you is truth and what is not. I think it's up to you to separate and try to make up the difference between what you think sounds right and what doesn't sound right. And I think that's kind of how you come up with the best answer for yourself. See, then, scientists depend on funding, which depends on results, which leads to pressure to keep funding, which leads to faking results. You know, that's an amazing point, because I've seen you guys texting that earlier. That's another thing. What does the funding go to? What is it for? Can you get proof of it? Are there documents? Are there records? See, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this is a conspiracy thing here. I don't know what it is. That's my conclusion. Do I think it's from outer space? No, I don't think that. I think there's a lot of similarities to everything that I've read. That makes sense to me. The other theory was, which I don't know enough about sound and how it travels, but the other theory that some people had was, much like light, how it travels, they say that the sound in itself, I think I said it earlier, but that the sound in itself can travel and it can get delayed. So one of the theories is that this is these are delayed sounds that happened, I guess, hundreds of years ago, and we are just now hearing them. But I don't know enough about that to really argue that. I don't know how that works. Maybe you guys do. Let me see. You said the Earth had 3.7 billion people living on the planet in 1972. In the last 40 years or so, the population has more than doubled. There are now 7.4 billion people, and we are not making any more Earth. So we must get off the planet to survive. That would be that Interstellar movie. Well, I don't even know if that's possible. I don't even know, John, if, honestly, if that was a situation, I don't know where I'd want to go. I really don't. And speaking of unearthly things, all right, I want to share something with you guys that I thought was really, really cool. So let me just go here. I want to show, and again, this just brings me to my point about what I think is real, what we can prove, and how your mind works between what you see and what you hear. That would be cool. I just wouldn't want to get trapped like, what's his name, behind a bookshelf. That was kind of freaky, though. You're watching that, you see the books fall off, and then it wasn't until the end of the movie that you realized it was him in the beginning doing all of that, giving her the message to stay. I thought that was cool. It wasn't it wasn't aliens, Dennis. From what I understood about that movie, I don't think it was aliens. It was actually him. And I don't know, I could be wrong, maybe I misinterpreted that. But you know how the end, when he came from wherever he came from, and then he ended up behind or inside that matrix thing, which I thought was kind of freaky. He fell through a wormhole, I guess, and then he landed in this matrix where he was warning his daughter at the time to stay, not to go. I don't know exactly. Yeah, that was him, right? Didn't that movie make you guys freaked out at all? It did me. All right, check this out. This was taken in 1954, I believe it was. That was, let me see. Yeah, 1954, I believe it was. I think that was Illinois, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Now, why am I showing you this? Because here, again, back then, they didn't have technology like we have today. So you got to ask yourself, how is this possible? I just explained that in the 30s, 1933 or 35, I believe it was Germany, don't quote me, had a similar craft unmanned, meaning men didn't operate it. It's very similar to how this looks. So is it that? It does kind of look like a blimp, right? Now, you guys remember the lights over Vegas? This was years and years ago. It showed all those lights, right? Everybody's freaking out over it and stuff. Lights over Vegas, I think it was called. That was the title of it. Well, you know what, Connie? Very good argument. You're right. I don't know. Exactly right. I can only assume they didn't. But then again, I just actually contradicted myself now, didn't I? Because when I said in Germany they had an unmanned spacecraft or object that was a spy probe for them, they had technology back then to build something like I just showed you. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. See, then that's the thing. I don't understand. It has to stop, doesn't it? Doesn't sound have to stop? Unlike light, light can continue from the way I understand it, right? Through physics. Sound is more of, but then again, I don't know. You can blow your mind and go crazy thinking about this. Think about this right now. As I'm talking to you guys are typing. John and I just had this conversation the other day. All of this has to travel through the air, through these little things that they call waves, right? Radio waves. Now they jump off each other however they transmit it. But think about this for a second. All of these things travel through what we can't see it. Then another piece of equipment picks it up, pulls it down. And what that piece of equipment has to do is it has to dissect, make sense of that radio wave, put it back together, send it down through a line. Today we have fiber optics or cable, whatever. That still has to travel through a line, then into your home. Then it has to go into a box, modem, router, whatever it is. From there, it has to again get interrupted. So you got to take it apart again. Then it goes through another wire back into your computer or in the air, and then it has to reassemble it again. And it does it all in a second. Yeah, I've heard of the Hindenburg. Germany had very intelligent people. The Hindenburg, yeah, that's a whole controversy itself. It didn't. Have you heard of the Hindenburg? Yeah. But just think about that technology. Who's to say they didn't have that stuff back then? Now I want you guys to take a look and listen at this. I found this very interesting.
I was shown 3 videos of UFOs, and these were official Department of Defense videos that were, without question, unexplained objects.
Did you box moving cars? No, I took an auto train. Oh, okay.
She ran through the videos, and she asked me, are these authentic? And I said, I can tell you that the videos are authentic. And the only reason why I'm telling you this is because they're unclassified. I facilitated the review process for them through the Department of Defense.
2 of them had audio tapes of the pilots exclaiming about what they were seeing and their shock and their awe and everything else. This was just absolutely stunning to me because there have been no official videos of UFOs released. I don't think ever, but certainly not since way back in the 50s or 60s. And they were official. That's the thing. They were just somebody.
For anybody, I know there's 1 or 2 here that has military experience. Very similar to the first object I showed you. These are taken by the pilots. Yeah, light is a particle. But isn't it amazing, though, how, John, all that gets broken down? Right, to what I was saying earlier. And now you move on to something like this. These are fighter jets that are recording this stuff on their radar, moving at speeds that are faster than the jets. And I don't have an answer for that. It's kind of weird, right? But is it something that is man-made? I don't know. But it definitely is intriguing. Absolutely, for sure. Here's one more that I want to show you guys. This is what I was talking about earlier. And let me see. So these are the LA lights. This obviously was So this was broadcasted pretty much everywhere. It could be. But, alright, so you see the formation of these lights. You see the small one up on the left side of the screen. And then you see, obviously, the bigger one. Well, Kat, here's the thing. When you're looking at these lights, well, Dennis, you make a good point on that. And, you know, it's actually cool that you guys are this informed as you are, because it just helps me out a lot. Because I learn a lot from what you guys are saying. The interesting thing for me, in my opinion, yeah, you saw those videos, okay. Well, you can call them aliens, Kat, but here's the thing, right? To many people, some have had experiences. Some just either seen it through somebody else's lens. And for those people who have had certain experiences, to them, it's real. And I can't debunk it through what somebody else seen, heard, or experienced. Right? And I think that we, as people, I haven't yet, and there may be, I haven't found anything that I've looked at, seen, read yet that makes me a 100% believer that something is concrete of other than us. It doesn't mean it's not, it's just I personally haven't read or watched anything like that yet. Well, isn't that the thing, right? Hence, not always right, but I'm never wrong. That's why I think when giving your opinions about something, that, you know, you can't state something for a fact unless it is a fact. Right? You can give your opinion, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't think that, yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. When is it proven right and when is it proven wrong? When is it right? But when is it wrong at the same time? So here's what I found interesting. Is I did a lot of reading on, again, the power of the mind, your subconscious, how we perceive things to be. Matter of fact, there's a video out there, it blew my mind, about how the Flintstones were spelled. There were certain things, I forget the something effect. I know one of you will know it. But when you look at certain things, you think it said or had an image of something for a long, long time, and then you come to find out it actually didn't. I can't remember the name of this guy. But anyways, this right here easily explains some, not all, but some.
Gonna freak out so many people in LA.
Look how bright it is. Oh my gosh. Whoa.
I like the atheist.
Oh my gosh. People are gonna flip out.
Liftoff, Falcon 9.
Vehicles cleared the tower.
That is just one small, explanation as to what I think many people get confused about. It doesn't explain everything. I think that there's a lot of things out there that are cases of mistaken identity. And I think because we are trained to believe one thing is one way, and I think we dismiss what the actual truth is about certain things. And again, I'm not saying it's for everything, but that was an example. And that doesn't justify to say that everything is like that. But yes, the Mandela effect. That freaked me out because it showed the spelling of the Flintstones, certain other things, and I really didn't remember certain things a certain way, so I couldn't prove to myself like otherwise. But what I found fascinating was it said that the Flintstones only had one T. I don't recall it having two T's. And there were just certain things like that, right? But they showed you different images and said, okay, what was this or what was that? And then they played what the actual thing was. I just thought that was interesting. Have I seen the holograms they are projecting in the sky in China? Good point. I haven't. I've heard about it. I have not seen that. I have not seen that. China is exceptionally advanced as far as things like that go. Hence what I was talking about earlier about the sonic weaponry. To my understanding, they have the capabilities of it's a electromagnetic field, if you will, but it's like an electromagnetic bomb that can pretty much wipe out the entire grid. Again, I don't know that much about it, but I do understand that that's what they have. Time shift. That's another thing. Matrix. The Bernstein Bears. So guys, all of this stuff, even just this little bit, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but believe it or not, when I'm looking at this stuff to try to understand and to make sense of it, like many of you, the best thing, I think, in my opinion, that helps you to come to a better understanding, it may not be the resolution, but helps you come to a better understanding, is I think that, and it's sad because too many people are judgy people, but I think that expression, I think sharing your thoughts, sharing your opinions with others, and allowing feedback, I think is great. I think that if more people were able to discuss, to communicate, regardless of what it is, and share opinions, get the feedback, vice versa, I think it helps for people to understand a little bit better as to different things that may or may not be happening. Some people recall it being a different spelling. Yeah. Okay, so that was one of them. And yes, that is where knowledge is born. I agree with that. Is that Bernstein or Bernstein? Oh, the Bears. Oh, okay. All right, then I just seen that. Yeah, the Mandela effect, it's weird. I haven't dug my heels into that yet. I don't really know what to make of that because I can't. So when I try doing searches, and I don't really use Google for a lot of things, I use other platforms, but when I tried doing searches, it didn't give me a lot of information on what it was that it claimed was incorrect and what we thought it was. So I had a hard time with that. But I do want to look into it to see where it goes. I don't know how that works, the Mandela effect. Supposedly, it's a glitch in the matrix, as they say. That's a whole nother box that I don't even want to open at this point, right? But again, my opinion is, I think by sharing with others, getting everybody's opinions on things, even the information that we showed here tonight, as little as that is, it's mind-blowing. Because a lot of it we can't explain. Maybe there is answers to it. We just don't know as of yet. So my opinion is share. Let thoughts be shared with you. And don't criticize, don't judge, and vice versa. And I think that that opens up your mind to a lot of different things. And then once you do that, I think that you will find the answers to whatever it is that you are looking for. And don't conform. Be an independent thinker, an independent doer. I think that once people conform, they start falling into these traps, and you get sucked into that. And that's why this podcast for me is very important, because I, unlike as much as I love the music channel, that's for music. But in a way, they're kind of similar, because it's still expression, right? So this show is all opinion. And it's just weird, fluky stuff that you just maybe, I don't know, maybe people are too embarrassed or too shy to talk about it, or nobody wants to. I do. I love this stuff. That's right. All right, guys, we're going to get wrapping up here in a little bit. I just want to read some of your comments and stuff like that. Again, I thank you guys for joining me on my very first little episode here. It's cool. Let me see, Connie, you said it's a kids' book series. You remember reading those books to your kids? Dennis said, Denny, as the country song goes, it's my story. That's right. 100%. Some people recall Nelson Mandela's funeral, and then he became a South African leader. You know, I heard that. I heard that somewhere. Yeah, I will then. What's that called? Magnella disease? I'll have to look that up. Yeah, pretty soon as I dissect it, like I said, I had a very interesting, very nice interview, phone call. It turned into a longer discussion, but it was good because we got to know each other, and that's Dennis. Dennis shared some awesome stories with me, which he's allowing me to share with everybody, which I think you guys will find and it's from Dennis himself. So you will get to hear Dennis. And of course, I'm asking him all the questions that I can to try to get as much information. But I was very intrigued. Den, I think that you are a very smart guy, 100%, and a great singer as well. But I was very impressed as to what Dennis had to say. So I thank him for that time as well. Cognitive dissonance. Huh. That is cool. There are so many articles, and I am going to create, I think, to keep it separate from the Denny Cool and Gang show, because I know John, he does a lot of work on emails. So I'll probably create a stumble in email so that this way here it doesn't, if anybody wants to email with a concept, an idea, a story, whatever it is, I don't want that conflicting with the music show that you guys have on Friday night, because that is something that's not going to change, and I don't want to conflict the two. I kind of really want to keep that separate. This show here is just about opening up, using imaginations, coming up with explanations, crazy fun stuff, right? No conforming on this show and no judgment on this show whatsoever. So I appreciate that. Gail, where's Gail? Did I just see somebody say hi, Gail? Gail, you are late. You are definitely late. That's all right. And guys, don't forget, what the heck, I can say it's my show. Send in, if you haven't already, send in your acoustic song link for Friday. I know we have many of you that already have, so we thank you for that. But don't forget, it is Acoustic Friday this Friday evening. Of course, the only awesome show ever to do what it does out there. So we appreciate that. And again, that's this Friday. And we have quite a few new members that are signing up to it as well. Gail, you missed all of the intrigue, the googly, mysterious stuff. But that's okay. You can watch the show after. It was very cool. A lot of smart people our members are. I'll tell you that. This tells me a lot, too, about you guys as well. You're not just music gurus, but you guys have a lot going on upstairs in a good way, and I think that's awesome. I've learned a lot just from reading what you guys have to comment about. And the show will get there, the content will get better, the designs will get better, everything will get better. First night out on a date, you know, you're going to be a little nervous. So, the music show is a breeze. I know everybody. I know what I'm doing there. This, not so much, like a first date. I'm kind of holding its hand along the way. I got to make sure to pay the bill when I leave. So, guys, that brings this show to an end. It's a weeknight. Many of you have to get up and work in the morning, so I appreciate your support. I truly, truly, truly do. And again, please, I thank you so much for all your support, for you guys being here. If you missed the episode, you can always go back, watch it. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please do so. All right. Again, thank you for joining me at Stumble In Talk Podcast. I do appreciate it. And again, comment after the show. I will create a separate email for this show. So, that is about it in a nutshell, my friends. I thank everybody so much, and I'll say it on the other show. Be kind to others and be kind to yourself. And in closing, always ask questions. Never judge. Be judgment free. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys Friday.